Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you to present the State of the Community Address, Terry Mazany, President and CEO of the Chicago Community Trust Foundation.
Thank you, Frank and Mary, and the rest of the Executive Committee for providing leadership that represents the diverse interests of our community. I also want to thank our staff for their incredible efforts during this 100th anniversary year and every year prior. For a large foundation, we have a small but mighty staff dedicated to serving the needs of our community. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Lottie. Without her support, I would not be able to do all that I do. I also want to thank the staff of the Hilton for your service and sharing in the spirit of what you do matters. We've all been here many times. The wait staff here are just superb. Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure to recognize Juan Salgado, President and CEO of Instituto del Progreso Latino. He has had quite a magical week last week, being awarded the MacArthur Fellowship, our Genius Award. Well done. We are honored to have you join us today. I want to as well extend good afternoon and welcome. What a gorgeous fall day in one of the world's most beautiful cities. Thank you for joining us for the centennial edition of the Chicago Community Trust State of Community Address. I'm inspired by this turnout because I know that each of you is here because you care deeply about Chicago and our fellow residents. There's an old saying that work is love made visible. For many of you, your work is an expression of love for our fellow human beings, love for the place that we call home. You are here because you care about the vibrancy of our communities and the safety of our neighborhoods. You care about human dignity and for all to have a fair chance at the American dream. You care about bedrock values of justice and equality. My colleague Randy Lewis, who spearheaded Walgreens' push to employ people with disabilities, writes in his book, about his son with special needs, compassion stirs us to remove the pain in the world. Justice stirs us to remove its cause. That is why we joined together today. In this regard, I am keenly aware of the responsibility you place upon the Chicago Community Trust and your expectations for us to provide faithful service to our common interests and shared humanity. This we do not alone, but with this special community of donors, nonprofit partners, and civic leaders who work together to create a greater good for our city and our region. Thank you for your tireless energy and passion to make a difference. What you do matters. At the Trust, perhaps our special privilege is having the broad view of the myriad acts of kindness and generosity across this great region of almost 10 million people. In many ways, each day is like a highlight reel of the best of Chicago's spirit. It follows the ABCs, from the spectacular success of ADA 25, creating a more inclusive society, to the Big Shoulders Fund, ensuring thousands of children the opportunity for a high-quality education, to the Center on Halsted, championing the rights of the LGBTQ community and the youth that they care for. These highlights are daily. On Monday, it was the documentary by Cartemquin Films about the Kelly High School girls soccer team, and the successful advocacy by the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council to gain a soccer field for that neighborhood. Yesterday, it was the campaign for community schools. which led the push to reestablish PE as a requirement at CPS and is working for healthy food in our schools. Today, well, it's about all of us. In a very real sense, each of you is a shareholder of the trust. You own a piece of this institution as a donor, as a partner, or a beneficiary. Because of this special relationship, it is important that I share with you our vision and plans for the Trust at the start of its second century of service. Our challenge is to balance the stability and reliability you expect with the courage and innovation demanded by the times in which we live. The seeds of this enduring commitment to our community were planted 100 years ago when the Harris family gathered a group of committed Chicagoans, just like you, in a room just like this, and inspired them to work and act together for the public good. They were well aware as they gathered, discussed, and collaborated that Chicago had become one of the fastest growing cities in the world, growth that would present both promise and peril. Those civic leaders were guided by the vision of the 1909 Plan of Chicago and the progressive values rooted in Jane Addams' Settlement House movement. They transformed Chicago from a place of exuberant yet chaotic growth with little compassion for those who struggled at the margins to one that exemplified the City Beautiful movement. That movement reimagined cities as beautiful places to inspire their residents to moral and civic virtue. But let us not forget that Chicago at our founding was a city of extremes of wealth and poverty. The underlying motive for the creation of the Trust was the desire to give a human face to capitalism by ameliorating the social ills that rapid economic and demographic growth had created. In a recent essay, Darren Walker, president of the Ford Foundation, speaks to this point, quoting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who voiced a stern rebuke to philanthropists not long before his death. "Philanthropy is commendable," King wrote, "but it must not cause the philanthropist to overlook the circumstances of economic injustice, which makes philanthropy necessary." Or, as St. Augustine put it more simply, charity is no substitute for justice withheld. In many ways, the challenges we face in 2015 are not much different than those faced by the Harris family and their contemporaries back in 1915. Then, as now, they were contending with the influx of immigrants. Hundreds of thousands of residents lived in conditions of squalor without hope for a fair chance for a better life. The economy worked for a few, but left many behind. And as documented by Thomas Dyja in his book, The Third Coast, this was also the time when divisive racism took root in our city, a legacy that continues to limit the opportunity for our residents. The Third Coast is this year's One Book, One Chicago selection by the Chicago Public Library, and I encourage you all to read it. Clearly, the state of our community is complicated and contested. It is severely challenged in some vital areas, yet we see residents engaged and committed to collaborating in search of innovative approaches to meeting those challenges. Our community is often frustrated by the slow pace of progress and the intractability of some challenges, but that same community is willing to pitch in rather than tune out. And while our community is often deeply troubled and troubling, it is also amazingly resilient and hopeful. Let's consider a few data points that reflect the state of our community. First, how are we doing on the jobs front? Well, the good news is that in July of this year, the unemployment rate in metropolitan Chicago dropped below 6% for the first time in years. The bad news, since the start of the economic recovery in 2010, 4 out of 5 jobs created pay less than $30,000 per year. That means over 240,000 new jobs pay less than what it takes to live on. The result is a drain on public benefits to make up the difference, and parents working more than one job simply to try to make ends meet, with the collateral consequence that these parents are not home with their children, helping them grow up. Just as important as jobs themselves is how easy or difficult it is to get to them. The Metropolitan Planning Council reports that only 21% of the Chicago region's jobs and 8% of its population are located near rapid transit. They point to the fact that over the past half-century, the number of Chicagoans living within a half-mile of rapid transit has declined by more than 500,000. Experts like those at MPC know that commuting time is the strongest factor in determining whether a person escapes the cycle of poverty. And as for poverty, it has barely declined since the Great Recession. Each month, over 375,000 individuals in the Chicago area are served by food pantries, and more than 1.3 million people rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program to put food on their tables. Poverty also exacts a hidden toll on our community by isolating certain segments of our population. Rutgers University recently released a study on urban poverty that found that poor Black people in the Chicago area are among the most isolated in the nation. More than a third of all poor African Americans here live in census tracts where the poverty rate is above 40%. In our schools and our justice system, Black youth continue to experience disparate treatment. In 2012, they accounted for 75% of the arrests made in the Chicago public schools, even though they're only 42% of the student population. And in 2013, Black youth accounted for over 70% of children arrested in Cook County, even though they're only 30% of our county's youth population. These are just a few statistics that I find troubling, both personally and in my role at the Trust. Today, I want to focus on what I consider to be the three biggest challenges facing us. The first challenge is the condition of our government. Several years ago, the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club began a courageous campaign called Illinois is Broke and worked with elected leaders to address the looming pension problems facing our state. Unfortunately for us, this effort was not successful, so today we are experiencing the grim reality of what it means to live in a state that is in a financial crisis. And this has real implications for real people. Think of the single parent with one child who cannot earn more than $665 a month to qualify for the Child Care Assistance Program. We have created a reality where thousands of parents must choose between working or raising children, between rent or food. And yet we all have a shared stake in the success of a parent being able to go to work and raise her children. We all benefit when she can pay taxes and provide a learning-rich upbringing for her children during those most critical ages from birth to 5. And yet, because of the stalemate in Springfield, 90% of working parents have lost support for childcare. 90%. In this case, government has failed to act in the interest of the common good. The second challenge is economic disparity. The forces of technology, cost-cutting, and globalization continue to widen this gap, and as a region, we don't have a strategy for growing or attracting middle-class jobs. Economic disparity is exacerbated by the inequity of education funding in our state. The reality is that individuals must be more highly educated to secure a good paying job, and yet when per pupil funding in our state ranges from $6,000 to over $20,000, the playing field is not level. Add to this the cost of higher education, which deters far too many talented young people, and we have created a disparity trap that few can escape. Earlier this year, we hosted Dr. Robert Putnam to talk about his new book, Our Kids, The American Dream in Crisis. For me, his most profound point was that the definition of our kids has dramatically narrowed from all of the children in the neighborhood when you and I grew up to a quite small circle of our children and perhaps their best friends. As a result of this myopia, there is not the political will to fairly fund adequate education for all kids in our state. The third challenge, perhaps the most deeply rooted and hardest to eradicate, is racism and segregation. For 2 years running, this challenge has been a major topic voiced during our on-the-table conversations. This challenge continues to stain our society and diminish real opportunities for so many in our community. I invite you to read The Case for Reparations by newly minted MacArthur genius Ta-Nehisi Coates. He paints a searing portrait of the historical roots of segregation in our own city in his article. These three challenges will not be solved by quick fix solutions that offer a one-size-fits-all remedy. On the contrary, progress will only result from thousands of individuals and hundreds of organizations, each working to make their own contribution that adds up to a greater solution. In this regard, we have plenty of examples to spotlight. We can look to Kevin Koval of Young Chicago Authors, who is working to engage youth in what he calls radical inclusivity, on display weekly at open mic nights on Milwaukee and Division. Our Blair Bretschneider, who mentors Girl Forward, an organization that provides adolescent refugee girls with mentoring and educational opportunities as they adjust to life in the United States. Our Mohammed Oyun, who created an app that gives transit directions to those who use wheelchairs, opening doors of opportunity to people with disabilities. Even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, their work matters. And if what they do matters, then you can count on the fact that what you do matters. The possibilities unleashed through vision and imagination offer an alternative to our current conditions. Imagine a reality where we don't expect our news media will report on the body count of those killed somewhere on our streets this weekend. Imagine the tantalizing prospect of every child in our community loving their school and eagerly greeting each day with the certainty that they are truly being prepared for the world that awaits them. Imagine our most economically distressed neighborhoods being reinvented and re-energized with the active engagement of their current residents. Imagine a community where barriers based on race, income, disability, or gender are torn down by an engaged and committed citizenry, replaced by pathways to opportunity and inclusion. Imagine that A Tale of Two Cities refers to a literary classic as opposed to a running commentary on the disparities between our neighborhoods. I believe that all of this is possible because what you do matters. And together, what we all do has the power to change both neighborhoods and lives, creating a new reality in the process, a city beautiful. What will it take to realize this vision? Let me share with you what the Trust intends to do. In addition to a full year of centennial programming to celebrate the philanthropist in each of us, we have been hard at work to craft a new vision for the Trust to ensure that this institution remains relevant, innovative, and influential as we begin a new century. It is vital that we reimagine our future so that the Trust remains a worthy partner for donors and nonprofits. Our new strategic plan is built from the ground up. We questioned every assumption about the Trust, and we had the benefit of 2 energizing years of on-the-table conversations with almost 40,000 voices to tell us what matters most to you and the community. What did we hear? The top issues that matter to Chicagoans are, number 1, economic issues and poverty, number 2, equity and social inclusion, and number 3, education and youth development. What was most gratifying is that 40% of those who responded to our follow-up survey report that they contribute to these issues in some way, be it their time, talent, or treasure. Thus, our new strategic plan is indeed shaped by you, and it includes 3 distinct commitments: inspiring philanthropy, engaging residents, and leading change. I will touch on each of these in turn, and they are in the booklets at your tables. First, inspiring philanthropy. We recognize that we can no longer look to government alone to solve the social challenges facing our community. As a result, even more will be asked of each of us to step up and give back to make a difference in the lives of others. Thus, we feel it is our imperative to do what we can to help inspire this ethic of philanthropy. We began this work in the spring by commissioning the Giving in Chicago study to measure the generosity of Chicagoans. The good news is that we are more generous than the national averages and place a higher priority on basic needs and human services. This is a great start, but we will need to do more in the years to come. So what does inspiring philanthropy look like? What does it look like in the real world? Let me give you a few examples. We see it in 17-year-old Carlos Leon, a student at Carl Schurz High School in Chicago's Irving Park neighborhood, a volunteer with the Build On program. One day, Carlos took a homeless man who asked him for spare change to lunch at McDonald's. As they ate, Carlos mostly listened to the man and was so inspired that he began collecting and distributing food and supplies to homeless people in the Loop. We see it in our neighborhoods. Chicago Cares launched a project this summer to help members of communities across the city give their time to the place they call home. In Greater Grand Crossing neighborhood, Laverne Morris, a lifelong resident of the neighborhood, serves as the lead volunteer liaison. Why did she get involved? In her own words, she said, "Because this was a good, solid neighborhood. We want to retain that feeling, but also see it get better. The only way that can happen is through volunteering." We saw it across our region when 16,000 young people gathered at Allstate Arena this spring to celebrate their year of service. This event, called We Day, was the result of a collaboration between the Canadian nonprofit Free the Children and the lead generosity of Tom Wilson and Allstate. And we see it through the efforts of hundreds of nonprofit organizations like Cabrini Green Legal Aid. This group taps thousands of pro bono hours for both civil and criminal legal services integrated with social work support to help individuals facing barriers stemming from an encounter with the justice system. The work of Gretchen Slusser and her team matters to clients like Beverly, who was not able to gain access to medical treatment because of her felony record. Their newly launched campaign, I Am Somebody, calls us to our shared humanity and compels us to care for those who we think are different from ourselves. The Trust is committed to doing its part to support and lift up one another. Our role is not only to inspire philanthropy for the benefit of causes today, but to ensure resources are available for future generations. The Trust is just a few months away from closing our own We Are Chicago campaign, which has already surpassed its goal of $1 billion in commitments to our region's future. The success of We Are Chicago is thanks to the insight and passion of forward-thinking donors like Judy and John Keller, whose support of organizations from Lincoln Park Zoo to the Salvation Army is well known. The Kellers know that what they do matters, and that's why they are committing their resources to ensure that our region thrives in perpetuity. We are also deeply grateful to our campaign committee leaders, Marshall Field, John Bryan, Sean Donnelly, King Harris, Nancy Searle, and Linda Wolf. The final tally of the We Are Chicago campaign will be announced at year-end. Moving forward, we invite you to work with us to figure out how best to spark that passion for philanthropy. Our second commitment is engaging residents. Thanks to 2 highly successful on-the-table community dialogues, the Trust has found a platform not only to hear from the community, but also to activate the expression of our public voices and channel those voices into action. We continue to be awed and inspired by the engagement and enthusiasm from residents, from neighborhoods and communities throughout the Chicago metropolitan area. 84% of the survey respondents from On the Table 2015 said that they believe they have influence in bringing about change in their community. They know that what they do matters because they believe they hold the power to effect positive change if only given the opportunity. Inspired by this feedback, the Trust will continue to promote ongoing opportunities for residents to connect, collaborate, and work together in the service of their communities. This focus on resident engagement will take many forms. For example, the Trust recently worked with Allstate, Get In Chicago, and Gravity Tank, a leading innovation firm in Chicago, to engage youth across the city in pursuit of design ideas that reduce violence in their neighborhoods. During one of these sessions, one of the participating teens, Lavelle, called out his favorite quote from Malcolm X, and I'm sure you all know it, "By any means necessary." Lavelle said he lives by that quote because he wants to change things. He wants to make things better and will do so by whatever means it takes. This is just one story from a program that has inspired a new generation of civic-minded residents. To help us plan for the next dialogue, we are looking to work with you as partners, activating your constituents to join together in this collective expression of our civic voice. Our third commitment is leading change. The results from On the Table define those areas where the Trust can have its greatest impact: education, the economy, social justice, and inclusion. To address these, we've identified 4 key priorities where the Trust will put our muscle behind issues by building coalitions of the inspired and engaged to tackle the most challenging and intractable issues facing our community. These 4 key priorities shouldn't be a surprise. First, we must make sure that youth across the region are free from the risk of street violence, graduate high school, and are provided with access to either colleges or training programs to prepare them for the jobs of the future. Second, we know that the best way to end poverty is to create jobs, and the best way to create jobs is with a healthy economy. We will work toward regional economic development strategies that make our region more globally competitive, and we will support programs for low-wage workers so that all Chicagoans have a chance at a living wage. Third, as I've discussed here today, the story of Chicago, in far too many ways, continues to be the tale of two cities. We are therefore increasing our commitment to advancing the growth and prosperity of our most disadvantaged communities by making essential investments required for even the most disadvantaged communities to thrive. And finally, and most importantly, we plan to address head-on the issues surrounding racial and ethnic inequality that are holding back individuals and entire communities from full inclusion in our society. We are committed to developing neighborhood-based initiatives, building leadership capacity, and convening neighbors to drive change here in Chicago. We must stop kicking the can of racism down the road for the next generation to resolve. We also learned from you that there is a serious disconnect between foundations and the nonprofit organizations that we serve. As foundations, we have been rightly accused of creating too much administrative work that takes nonprofit resources away from your mission. But wait, there's more. And establishing grant requirements that distort a nonprofit's mission in order to satisfy funder priorities. Okay, I get it, and I knew there was at least one applause line in this speech here. And I get that some of the things that we do actually undermine your ability to be successful. So many trust-funded organizations are essential anchor institutions providing critical services to residents. These are organizations that many of you lead or are part of. We provide funding year after year. Why then are we asking for a full proposal as if it were your first request? Why are we subjecting you to a rigorous process of due diligence as if we were not aware of your ability to deliver on your mission? Indeed, why? So, therefore, I'm pleased to announce that going forward, a significant part of our grant portfolio will be devoted to supporting anchor organizations with general operating grants. Now, was that worth coming to lunch? So, we call these Gen Op grants GO grants, which I hope will make it easier for many of you to carry out your mission. Our commitment is to serve you so that you can serve those most in need in our community. In just a few weeks, we'll begin hosting a series of open houses to discuss our new strategy in more detail and the criteria for the new GO grant application. In closing, let me say that above all, we must remain hopeful. While our society is facing a moral crisis on so many fronts, it is equally true that our strong moral voice flows from our communities and our residents who are yearning to be inspired, who are eager to be engaged, who are looking for the leadership required to make positive change more than a promise. The only thing that can defeat us is cynicism and apathy. I continue to derive inspiration from Daniel Burnham when he wrote, more than a century ago, "This spirit, the spirit of Chicago, is our greatest asset, It is not merely civic pride, it is rather the constant, steady determination to bring about the very best conditions of city life for all the people, with full knowledge that what we as a people decide to do in the public interest, we can and surely will bring to pass. So I ask you to join with us, collaborate with us, engage with us, lead with us, because I am certain that we can make a difference in our neighborhoods, our communities, and our region. Because what you do really does matter, and what we do together matters and can make a huge and everlasting difference. To quote another old saying, there are only two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Let us be the candle. Thank you.